Hey everybody, Will from Studio Zombie 3D here. Today I'm going to be taking a look at the Ender 3 S1 Pro. Let's get started. The first thing we're going to do is get everything unpacked and laid out on the table. I actually started printing with an Ender 3 5 years ago, so this is a pretty exciting review. Here we have our accessory pack. Next, we have our little sample of filament. And here we have the Sprite Extruder. I'm a big fan of these extruder hot end setups. They work really well. Here we have our filament spool holder and our filament runout sensor. And here we just have a cable clip. And underneath that we have a scraper. And here we have the spool holder. This one's really nice because they have bearings in this, so you're guaranteed nice smooth filament feed. And after a little bit of struggling with the foam, we have our touchscreen. Now we can go ahead and get rid of this foam here, and then we can get the X and Z gantry out. This one's really nice because it has an included light bar up top, which is really bright and illuminates the whole work area. One little nice thing about the way the extruder mounts on here is you can simply remove it and put a laser engraver on here. I'll do a separate video as I have the 5-watt kit and then the Falcon 10-watt laser system. And we have a couple of little stickers that were in the foam. And here's our cable for our extruder. We just got to get rid of the foam around the bed and then we can remove the base. And here's our power cable. Now we can go ahead and get the base removed and I'll have everything laid out on the table. Here I have everything laid out that was in the box. Here we have our assembly manual and our instructions. There's also a piece of paper we can use for leveling here. And then there's our small sample of filament, our touchscreen, the Sprite direct drive extruder setup. These are really great extruder setups. And here we have a small scraper for removing prints. I generally don't use them myself. And here we have a needle for cleaning out the nozzle if you have a clog, as well as our assembly tools. Here is our USB and SD card, and then the various assembly screws. And here we have our spool holder and our filament runout sensor. I'm a real fan of these spool holders with the bearings. They guarantee nice smooth filament feed into the extruder. And here we have our cable clip. Now the first thing we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and attach the upright assembly onto the base of the printer. We're just going to get everything cleaned up here before we go to the next step. As with a lot of the current FDM printers, assembly is pretty simple. We're just going to go ahead and use 4 screws and attach the top assembly to the base. It's easy just to set it on its side and attach the screws. Once we have everything secure, we can continue. Now that we have the upright secured to the base, we can go ahead and attach the extruder. This is super simple. You just place the extruder onto the plate, and the one screw on the back will hold it in place as you grab the 4 supply screws to secure it. Next, we're going to go ahead and attach the touchscreen. Using the 3 supplied screws, you're just going to attach it to the side. It's always easier to slip the screen off before you attach the bracket. Once we have the bracket secure, we can go ahead and replace the screen. You can also go ahead and attach the cable while you're here. The spool holder and the filament runout center simply just lock into place on the top. Just like so. Now all that's left to do is go ahead and attach all the cables. They're all labeled pretty clear, so it's super easy to get everything plugged in. The first thing we're going to plug in is our extruder. Once it's secured in place, we're going to go around to the back and secure the cable into the holder. Simply slide the cable holder into place and then place the cable into the clip. I like to make sure the extruder's all the way to the far side to make sure I have enough cable to reach. And then go ahead and push it down and lock it into place. Next, we're just going to go around and secure all the rest of the cables to the motors and sensors. Our Z-axis motor and then a Z-axis end stop. Next up, our filament runout sensor. And then on this side, we have our Z-axis motor plug, our accessory plug which powers the top light, as well as the laser module, and then the filament runout sensor plug. And while we're on the back, be sure to set the voltage switch to the correct voltage for your country. I'm in Canada, so I set mine to 115. And then finally, we plug in the touchscreen if you didn't when you attached the bracket. Now we're ready to power on the printer once this is finished. We're going to remove the protective coating and then power up the printer. And there's the top light bar that lights up as soon as you power up. There's a switch on the bar as well that you can turn it off and on if you need. And here we have the menu. Creality has been known for having really nice menu system on their printers, with options for everything that you need to calibrate the printer. The Ender 3 S1 Pro has a manual and auto leveling system. You run through the manual level, going through 5 points on the bed to make sure the bed's as level as you can before you run the auto level. You move through the 5 points and adjust the dials to make sure everything's just right. Once it's complete, you can run the auto level. I always find it's best to go through the 4 points a couple times just to make sure everything's nice. Once the manual leveling is complete, we can go ahead and run the auto level. This will take a few minutes. And then once the auto level is complete, we're good to go. Now, I've used the Sonic pad on my Ender 3 S1 Pro a lot. I did a couple prints with the Marlin, but this thing really shines with the Sonic pad. This is just a short clip of it printing a Flexi Yeti at 120 millimeters a second. This thing's a really solid printer. I was really happy at how it runs with Clipper and a Sonic pad. It's definitely then printing twice the speed, and I'm getting prints in half the time I am with the Marlin setup. And here I have a short clip of it printing a Flexi Factory Phoenix. This one was printing at 120, and I was pretty amazed that it actually pulled it off cleanly. Now, whether with Marlin, the stock setup, or using a Sonic pad and Clipper, the Ender 3 S1 Pro is an absolutely solid printer. And it really reminds me of when I started printing with the original Ender 3. Here I have the Batman Beyond bust from Eastman, and this thing came out fantastic. I actually printed this using Clipper at 120 millimeters a second, and the bust itself only took 6 hours. The stand took about an hour and a half, and the quality is absolutely fantastic off of this printer with Clipper. You do need to run a resonance tuning, but once you do that and tune your acceleration, these printers really shine. Here I have just a simple vase print using the stock Marlin setup. I just really liked the filament and wanted to see how it looked as a vase. The color change is subtle, and the shine is really nice on all the curves of the vase. Using the same filament, I decided to print a print-versed Valentine's Dragon. This print came out really nice at 120 millimeters a second using the Sonic pad. It came out really nice and clean, and there were no problems with the print. This was the Urion Universe Silk PLA. The stuff's absolutely amazing. They have a few different colors of it, and it's great filament. And for my final print I'm going to show, this is the Spider-Man bust from Eastman. This was printed at 140 millimeters a second, and it came out awesome. I was really surprised at the quality it was able to maintain at the speed. The base only took about 2 hours to print, and the bust itself took a little over 7. If it was running on the stock Marlin setup, it probably would have been closer to about 16 or 17 hours for the bust. And the detail's absolutely amazing off of this. Alright everybody, that was my setup and review of the Ender 3 S1 Pro. I absolutely love this printer, especially with the Sonic pad. It really brought me back to when I started 3D printing with the original Ender 3. And it's nice that they have an optional laser option for this as well. If you want to get into laser engraving, it's worth checking out. Thanks for watching everybody. Be sure to like and subscribe for more from Studio Zombie 3D. We'll see you in the next video. Take care.